Okay, Charlotte, let's take a look at what you wrote today, all right? This is one about getting married in your 30s and having babies in your 30s. Okay. It is not uncommon today for people to tie the knot later in life when they are in their 30s and sometimes even in their 40s. This is, in fact, more of the norm than the exception in modern times. In my opinion, there are more negative than positive consequences for the family. This essay will discuss the pros and cons to marriage later in life, giving examples to support arguments, okay? Many argue that marriage later in adulthood comes with many advantages, as couples by then have finished their education, well established in their careers, and are well established in their careers and are mature-minded. Equipped with life skills, such individuals are better able to raise and provide for a family. There is irrefutable evidence that shows higher literacy and numeracy skills among children with well-educated parents. These children, please don't use kids in an IELTS essay. It should always be children. It's academic writing, okay? So these children go on to perform much better in school, thus getting a head start in life. Therefore, what? What's the takeaway? That there are multiple advantages to getting married and having children later in your life. All right? On the other hand, settling down in life comes with its, you don't need the apostrophe here because it doesn't mean it is, it's just its, so it's without the apostrophe. So its own set of complications. Scientific research has shown a decline in fertility among women past the age of 35. This results in older partners having smaller, single-child families and even a rise in infertility. Furthermore, it can be physically demanding on older moms and dads as they struggle to cope with the challenges of young children and teenagers. Finally, the generation gap must not be forgotten, as mature parents lag behind and are unable to understand the times of the younger generation. Therefore, although there are a lot of positives to having a family later in life, the negatives clearly outweigh them. All right, here's my question for you. This whole paragraph focused on children, all right, and focused on having children after the age of 30, and more specifically 35. But what about marriage? Are there any negatives to getting married after 30? I would have liked you to address that as well, because you said discuss the pros and cons of marriage later in life, but in fact you didn't do that at all in this paragraph, did you? Right? So it was just about childbirth and having children after your 30s. So be careful. Remember that your topic sentence here, your thesis statement should follow, should answer the question, all right, which is placed here. And then, of course, the development of your essay should follow what you've said there. So here you've got a little problem. There's something of a disconnect. All right, even though it's very well written, it's lovely, I enjoyed reading it, and you can see I got through it really quickly because it's accurate and the writing flows really nicely. But you have to be careful with your task achievement here, okay, and your topic development, and just really focusing on the questions being asked, on your position, and how you actually develop that position in your essay, okay? Let's take a look at what you wrote after that. It's this fantastic line graph about rainfall. All right, the line graph shows precipitation in England, Scotland, and Wales during 2018. England had the most rainfall of the three places, with fluctuation, singular, we never put plural here, throughout the year. Rainfall received ranged from a low of 75 ml in May and peaked at 125 ml in July, September, and December. Turning now to Scotland and Wales, a similar oscillating pattern is seen throughout the year. However, the difference between the highs and the lows was the greatest in Scotland. Scotland went from a low of 25 ml in February to a high of 125 in March. A dip in rainfall received in both places in April was followed by a pattern of highs and lows, with the overall amount of rain received reaching 125 ml for Wales in July, while Scotland received a similar high in October. Finally, in December, Scotland received twice the rainfall received in Wales and finished at a high of over 100 ml. Overall, there was a huge fluctuation in rainfall received in all three places. July was the only month when all three places received over 100 ml of rainfall. Similarly, August was a month of decreased, careful, not dead rain, you wrote deceased. So August was a month of decreased rain in the three places. Okay, let's see. So, first of all, in an overview, I never like to see data. okay? Because then you really make it confusing and the examiner asks, okay, well, is this an overview or is it a detailed paragraph? So what I would have preferred here is that July, something like July was the only month when all three places received high amounts of rain, okay? Similarly, August was a month of decreased rain. Is that true? Well, kind of. You could have left it out, actually. In fact, I think the most accurate thing to have said here was that July was the only month when they all shared a similar peak. And that would have been more than enough, okay? Because other than that, they were totally different. Or two of them were similar and one was different. So that probably would have been the most accurate statement here. And this way you could have left out the data. And I actually don't really agree with this. So that's what I would have written for my overview. Now, okay, you got rid of England really quickly. I don't dislike what you did. I like that you gave me the range. That was good. So you told me it was a low of this and a high of this, and you told me the 4 months that it happened in. One personal preference is when we have a year is I also like to know where it started in the year. So for me, that first month is always really important because I figure it's like a story. So it's I want to know the beginning of the story, I want to know the end of the story, and I want to know some of the key points in the middle of the story, okay? So for that reason, I would have liked to have known about January. Just keep that in mind whenever you see any of these years. But you did a fine job because there really wasn't a whole lot to say about England. Now, here I kept seeing the word Scotland, 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 but I saw very little about Wales. So it looks like you only mentioned Wales twice, and I thought that was a little too little, okay? There was a lot of focus on Scotland. Just check out, even count it yourself now that you've had some distance from it. Take a look at how much you discussed Scotland versus how much you discussed Wales, and you can see that Wales really doesn't have a lot about it. So I want you to remember one little thing. When you're doing these, you have to, the ideal here, the goal here, is to try to describe the graph in such a way that the person reading it can more or less visualize it without having it in front of him. Okay? I know this one is very difficult to do because there's so many pieces of information. There's 36 in total. But at least to approximate what it is you are looking at. Looking at this, I think I would have a difficult time doing that. Let's see. Dip. Yeah, you talk about a dip in April, and then you talk about a figure here for July, and then Wales. Yeah, so I felt it was, you kind of just brushed over Wales completely, and I'm not really a huge fan of that. I would have liked at least some sort of equal treatment for each of the different areas. All right, so go ahead now, Charlotte, and correct these essays, add your error correction list. Send all of this back with your new essays. We're here, we're waiting for them, we're excited. So go ahead and do that, and we'll meet back here with your next set of essays. Good luck.